Welcome to Television Sydney News. I'm Alex Pleffer. It's great to have you with us. In this week's bulletin, drug labs uncovered in North Ryde and Sydney's southwest. Police warn P-platers to slow down after several fatal crashes, and the Greater Western Sydney Giants launched their new club song. But first, Penrith has been declared a natural disaster area in the wake of a severe storm last week that caused flash flooding. The declaration will lead to the state and federal governments helping residents from Penrith and the neighbouring Hawkesbury and using natural disaster relief funds. Penrith City Council is writing letters to tell residents that there is help available, with the hardest hit suburbs including Londonderry, Castlereagh, Cranbrook, Jamison Town and Kingswood. Mayor Greg Davies says the council is doing everything it can to help residents.
We've had crews out there doing a lot of clean-up, taking away rubbish. We've had them out there since Friday. They were out there all weekend. They'll continue to be out there. Can also say that the SES and all the volunteer services have done a really great job.
The council is also offering a letter of support from the Mayor to help with insurance claims if needed.
And we've had stories about seniors, pensioner couples who've lost everything, cars, garages, house, the whole lot, and there is a little bit of concern about insurance cover, but I just want to put a message out to the insurance companies. The police have a heart when they're dealing with these claims. These are life issues to these people. It's not just an event, it's a life issue, and they need the assistance from the insurance companies. So I'm sure the insurance companies will do the right thing by the people that are insured, but if they can do it quickly, even better still.
And patrons and staff were evacuated from a Blue Mountains sports centre after a roof collapsed during bad weather on Monday. Heavy rain and hail caused the roof to collapse over the kiosk and basketball court at Katoomba Sports and Aquatics Centre just after 2:30 on Monday afternoon. The centre was immediately evacuated following fears further sections of the roof could collapse. Activities at the centre did not resume until Wednesday. However, some areas remained closed due to public safety fears. Blue Mountains train services were also disrupted on the weekend when the track was damaged by floodwaters at Woodford. The area has also seen road closures because of the rain, with the SES responding to nearly 100 calls for assistance in 5 days. 2 men faced court yesterday after police discovered 2 clandestine laboratories in an apartment block in North Ryde on Wednesday. Police said they also located drugs and a 9mm pistol during the raid. The 2 men, both aged 33, are believed to be a senior member and an associate of the Hells Angels outlaw motorcycle gang. The men were charged with knowingly taking part in the manufacture of prohibited drugs, and one was charged with firearm offences. Earlier this week, 2 other men were arrested after police uncovered 2 clandestine laboratories at homes in Catherinefield and Narellan. And police are urging provisional drivers to slow down after a 20-year-old man was caught at 91 kilometres an hour over the speed limit in Moorebank last week. Sergeant Greg Tidyman of Liverpool Police's Highway Patrol says young drivers aren't getting the message.
We're trying to get them to slow down and understand the consequences of speeding. Road trauma is the biggest thing that affects Highway Patrol. It's our biggest tasking. They need to understand they're not bulletproof. Okay, the forward metal doors that they're sitting in are not going to protect them from injury. Pedestrians are one of the biggest risk factors in CBD areas, and even at 60, 40, even 30 kilometres an hour, a pedestrian can be killed.
Since the start of the year, there have been 7 fatal crashes across the southwestern Sydney metropolitan area.
The first 6 weeks of this year, this region alone's had 7 fatalities. This time in 2011, we'd only had 1, so we're already well and truly above last year's targets.
The 20-year-old driver will appear in Campbelltown Local Court on Thursday, March 22nd. If convicted, the maximum penalty he would face is 9 months in prison or $3,000 in fines. Police are renewing their appeal to find a Mount Pritchard girl who went missing 3 years ago. Rista Chanthavikse was last seen in Apex Park in Liverpool on March 24, 2009. At the time of her disappearance, the 15-year-old was living with her boyfriend. Police say Miss Chanthavikse, who would now be 18, has not accessed her bank accounts or made contact with family or friends. She's of Asian appearance, about 160 centimetres tall, with medium-length dark brown hair and brown eyes. A coronial inquest into her disappearance will be held on April 17. The New South Wales Court of Appeal has upheld a challenge by the Hoxton Park Residents Action Group, who opposed building of the Malik Fard Islamic School in the suburb. The judges found that the approval notice Liverpool Council published in 2009 was invalid, and the council had failed to properly consider the environmental impacts of the development. Action Group President Marilla Harris says the group has asked the council to issue the school with an order to cease building on the site. And Granville residents and business owners are fighting a prayer centre's plan to extend its hours to 11 p.m. Those opposed believe visitors to the Nabi Akram Islamic Centre will take up parking in the street and leave none for customers or homeowners. Prayer Centre manager Hamid Hassib says there will be no more than 50 people at the centre most of the time. Residents had until last Tuesday to lodge their objections, and the development is now due to go before Parramatta Council for a vote. The New South Wales Greens are supporting a campaign to save development land in Blacktown that was granted to Darug Aboriginal elders in the 1800s. State member David Shoebridge said the land should be protected because of its national significance. It was the first land in Australia returned to its original inhabitants. The 12 hectares of land at Marsden Park was granted to Aboriginal men Colaby and Narragingji by Governor Lachlan Macquarie in 1816. It was then seized and resold by the government in the 1940s. Rouse Hill Town Centre has a thriving community garden, but it wants to make it even better. The Stephanie Alexander Kitchen Garden was launched last September, and produce from the garden is picked and sent to the Parramatta Mission as part of a food recovery program. But Sue Wiblin from the Town Centre says members of the community are welcome to go in and take what they like. The centre is also seeking green thumbs to volunteer. Nepean Hospital staff, fed up with being booked for parking illegally, want a promised car park built as soon as possible. Staff presented a petition with more than 12,000 signatures to Penrith MP Stuart Ayres last week. Mr Ayres said the government would deliver on its promise as soon as it could. In the meantime, Nepean Hospital's new East Block will open to the public on Saturday. The building has operating theatres, consulting rooms and the latest designs in hospital beds. And in sport, the Los Angeles Galaxy Soccer Club has offered contracts to 2 players from the Hills after they beat a junior academy team featuring David Beckham's son, Brooklyn. With Beckham Sr. watching from the stands, Jackson Bandiera of Glenorrey and Leroy Jennings of Winston Hills displayed their skills with a tight 2-1 victory against Galaxy's under-13s academy team. Galaxy was undefeated for 2 years before the match. ACG Football Institute coach Alan Tassis said his players were buzzing after playing Brooklyn Beckham and meeting his famous father. And superhero leather and glitter-coated outfits may not be your typical sportswear, but wrestling is no less technical for all the fanfare, according to Mel Attard. Known to fans as Australasian Wrestling Federation diva Mighty Mel, the 20-year-old Parramatta resident went through a training school where she was taught how to fall properly, timing, pacing and general safety. Attard tours interstate and will face off with other Wrestling Federation identities at Parramatta RSL Club. And this year's Macarthur Swimathon for Cystic Fibrosis has raised a whopping $83,000. That's the equivalent of more than $1,000 raised for each sufferer of the disease in the Macarthur area and brings the 4-year total close to $250,000. The money will help to fund research and provide support for sufferers of the disease, which clogs the lungs and digestive system. Camden South's Michelle Fenwick started the event 4 years ago, and it has now raised a total of $227,000. More than 150 swimmers collectively swam a distance of more than 200 kilometres at Wallandilly Leisure Centre on Saturday. And finally, the Greater Western Sydney Giants have just launched their official club song. The song was written and produced by Harry Angus from the Cat Empire and is designed to stay true to old AFL football songs while celebrating the new team. The song will be played as the Giants run onto the ground before Saturday's NAB Cup matches at Blacktown International Sports Park.
Well, there's a big, big sound from the west of the town. It's the sound of the mighty Giants. You feel the ground is shaking, the other teams are quaking in their boots before the Giants. We take the longest strides and the highest leap. We're stronger than the rest. We're the greater Western Sydney Giants. We're the biggest and the best. And we will never surrender. We'll fight until the end. We're greater than the rest.
That's all we have time for today at Television Sydney News. For more information, check out your local Fairfax newspaper. I'll see you next time.